history. History, is a memory of the past, but it's not a clean memory because it's influenced by so many things, and it depends who tells the story of history. So it's very subjective. Excerpts from Abiding Heart's History Curriculum. Understanding World History through Buddhist Philosophical Principles. The Abiding Heart's History Curriculum is centered on understanding the study of change, impermanence, and that everything exists in relation to something else, impermanence. Loving kindness and compassion, reflective practices, and discussions are used to learn from history. At Abiding Heart, we teach from the view that history is very relevant for our times. It is not the study of the past, but the study of change. Our learning approach to history is threefold. Learning, understanding. First, we gain an understanding of the past. The past shaped the present, which gives rise to the future based on our actions. Our actions are influenced by our perceptions. The past is made of many interconnected events and circumstances that arise in dependence of one another and are constantly changing. Contemplating and meditating. Next, we contemplate those events and the manner in which they shape our present affairs. As human beings, we have the freedom to choose, and with that, determine our future. In this section, we engage with inquiry, critical thinking, and reflective practices. Acting, integrating. Lastly, gaining such insights and meditating on them teaches us that we are all part of everything that happens in the world. In learning history from this angle, we nurture the attitude of taking self-responsibility and accountability. We have agency to shape the future, for better or worse, which is linked to our level of knowing and understanding the past without prejudices, with wisdom. We therefore attempt to equip our students with tools to cultivate harmony, kindness, and non-harming. We also study history together with understanding the Buddhist view of reality, relative reality, which includes false and true relative reality, and ultimate reality. Prehistoric ages and meditation. In studying prehistoric ages, by going through the human lineage, we can observe that we, modern humans, are different and unique subspecies of the archaic Homo sapiens. The main distinction is in our ability to know that we are having thoughts. However, in everyday experience, it is not pointed out to us. We have this capacity to know that we are having all these thoughts. Meditation connects us with that. Awareness and mindfulness meditation helps us become aware that we are aware. If our thoughts are like a waterfall, then meditation allows us to go behind the waterfall of our thoughts and emotions. Self-awareness or metacognition is like the gap or crack in the rock behind the waterfall. World history and emptiness. Studying world history is a great opportunity to explore a conceptual understanding of emptiness, that everything exists in relation to something else, or made of many parts that are interdependent and are constantly changing. In studying history, we reflect on the manner in which our present world has come into being. There are still many mysteries about the past which are yet to be discovered. When we learn about ancient great civilizations such as India, Persia, Mesopotamia, or Egypt, we can observe interconnected events and circumstances that arose, remained for a while, and then dissolved, giving rise to other events and great empires. This is a wonderful way to understand impermanence, the law of cause and result, and the 12 links of dependent origination. Vishnu, the sleeping creator, the Hindu story of creation as told in the Puranas. The Epic of Gilgamesh, compassion, love, care, and rejoicing. Siduri wanted Gilgamesh to learn to experience giving, caring, and loving others, as well as feeling compassion, empathy, and joy. In the end, he became that, inspiring us all to transmute darkness into light. Ancient Persia, ancient Mesopotamia. Ur was the largest city in the world 4,000 years ago. In the Torah, Ur is mentioned as the birthplace of Abraham. Ancient Egypt. From Class 5 Art and History Curriculum, a clay pot from Ancient Egypt. World History, Karma, and Buddhist Ethics. From Roman History. The Carthage were a powerful nation in what is known today as Tunisia. The power-hungry Romans eventually conquered Carthage, burnt it down, and enslaved their people. Scipio Aemilianus was a Roman general who led the victory against this nation. During the burning of Carthage, he wept, realizing that one day Rome would follow the same fate. Roman General Scipio Aemilianus. Scipio wept and grieved as he watched Carthage burn. "A glorious moment," he cried. "I have a dread foreboding that someday the same doom will be pronounced on my own country." Examples of group contemplations and discussions in our history curriculum. Impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, not even great empires. Karma. Harming others is harming ourselves. Compassion and wisdom. Our suffering has happened. However, those who caused us harm are yet to transform and transmute the consequences of the unwholesome actions. How can we develop compassion towards them, knowing that their ignorance leads them to self-inflicting suffering? Self-responsibility. Taking responsibility for everything that happens to us. Sculpting a Roman statesman. Contemplating humility and transmuting ego through history. In our world history course, we learned that empires, civilizations with great wealth and military might, had integrated their material and spiritual innovations with that of their predecessors and asserted their influences on many nations. Their power seemed absolute and unchallenged. History tells us that empires rise, stay for a while, and then disappear. This gave us rich contemplations on interconnectivity, impermanence, humility, and transmuting our ego. Developing compassion and wisdom through history. Through analytical meditation and reflective practices, we nurtured an attitude of gratitude and appreciation to the contributions of those before us that made so many things possible for us. We also discussed and engaged in an introspective practice on the impact of dark periods in human history and the urgent need to develop compassion and wisdom to not repeat the mistakes of the past. History, morality development, and the Eightfold Path. In teaching history at Abide in Heart, we use learning tools such as investigating, inquiring, and questioning. We teach in a way that helps students gain clarity through understanding, for example, a past event from different points of view. Developing the capacity to discern right from wrong requires a strong ethical foundation. Having morality and virtue are necessary requisites for transformation. The Buddha gave us excellent tools for such self-actualization when he introduced the Eightfold Path. The Silk Roads. The Silk Roads is a sophisticated network of routes spreading goods, ideas, and religions around the civilized world, changing it forever. They have been used for nearly 2,000 years and are the most famous long-distance trade routes in the ancient world. The transmission of Buddhism to Central Asia and China corresponded with the development of the Silk Routes as channels for intercultural exchanges. By the 2nd century CE, Buddhist monasteries emerged on the northern and southern branches of the Silk Routes. Monks who traveled between India and China along these routes were responsible for the transmission of Buddhism. Along the Silk Roads, we can find Buddhist sites with ancient stupas, cave paintings depicting Buddhist themes, and Buddhist Sanskrit manuscripts belonging to Sravakayana and Mahayana schools, as well as Buddhist literature written in Tibetan and Mongolian. Buddhist artistic and literary traditions continued to flourish in parts of the Silk Roads, along with Zoroastrian, Manichaean, and Christian traditions. Excerpts from the History of Buddhism module. Alexander the Great and the Indo-Greek kingdoms. In the 3rd century before Common Era, Alexander the Great conquered parts of Central Asia and all the way up to the Indus River. As a result, Greek settlements were established. Wherever the Greeks established a city, they introduced Greek language, philosophy, and lifestyle. By the time Emperor Ashoka arrived in Kandahar, Afghanistan, a century later, Indo-Greek kingdoms were established throughout the area, known today as Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northern India. Ashoka's rock inscription in Old Kandahar. Ashoka used to place inscriptions in strategic places in areas he conquered. It was his way of delivering his message to his subjects. Ashoka placed one inscription on the border between his kingdom and that of the Indo-Greeks, where people of Greek and Persian origin lived. The inscription was intentionally written in Greek and Aramaic, ancient Persian language, and related Buddhist ethics about non-violence. The Greek Buddhist. The wonderful display of interdependence can be observed in the way Greeks and Buddhists influenced one another. The result was a unique merge of Greek and Buddhist ideas and cultures known as Greco-Buddhism. Here is an example of the Buddhist practice of taking refuge in Greek as inscribed into a rock from the time of the Indo-Greek Buddhists found in Afghanistan. Greek: Namo o Bodo, Namo o Duarmo, Namo o Sago, and in Pali, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. The question of King Milinda. Under Ashoka's rule, Buddhism was established as a new religion in those Greek communities. Later on, the Indo-Greek king Meander I, or Milinda in Pali, had a dialogue with a Buddhist monk called Nagasena, after which the king became a patron of Buddhism in his kingdom, where it flourished. Greco-Buddhist art. We can see Greek and Persian architectural influences in the Buddhist Indo-Greek kingdoms with Indo-Corinthian capitals. Capitals are decorations that are placed at the top of pillars, as seen in the Ahin-Posh stupa. Buddhism arriving in Tibet. From building Samye Monastery. Shortly before Guru Rinpoche arrived in the palace, King Tristan Detsen had a dream. He dreamt that the sun and moon rose up in the sky at the same time, and with that, the dark land became full of light. He interpreted his dream to mean that everything would work out fine. When Guru Rinpoche arrived at the palace, King Tristan Detsen was filled with joy. He bowed down and gave Guru Rinpoche many offerings, including gold dust. Guru Rinpoche threw it away and told the king, "I don't need your gold. The whole world is like gold for me." At that moment, he touched a rock on the ground with his big toe, and the king and everyone present witnessed the whole area transformed into gold. The 8 manifestations of Guru Rinpoche, an experiential exploration of the basic qualities of the Padmasambhava principle.